to this 49th session of the General Conference of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. Let us welcome the First Lady of the United States, Michelle Robinson Obama.
I tell you, it is such a pleasure and an honor to join you today in Nashville for your 2012 General Conference. You all are part of a proud tradition, one that dates back to the founding of that first AME church and the founding of this nation, and has shaped its history every day since. But there's a reason why one pastor called Bethel's founding a Liberty Bell for black folks. There's a reason why W.E.B. Du Bois said that Bethel Church belongs to the history of the nation rather than to any one city. You see, before long, that little church had grown to 1,000 members, and soon AME churches were cropping up all across this country. Over the years, these churches served as stops on the Underground Railroad. They founded universities that educated generations of black leaders. They hosted civil rights marches, meetings, and rallies, even under the threat of being vandalized, bombed, or burned to the ground. Icons like Frederick Douglass and Rosa Parks, leaders like Jim Clyburn, trailblazers like Oliver Brown of Brown v. Board of Education, Ernest Green of the Little Rock Nine, they all worshiped at AME churches. I know that I am here today because of those heroes. My husband is in the White House today because of them. I want to talk about what we can learn from our history about the power of being an active, engaged citizen in our democracy. So yes, we moved forward and we won those battles. And we made progress that our parents and grandparents could never have imagined. But today, while there are no more whites-only signs keeping us out, no one barring our children from the schoolhouse door, we know our journey is far from finished. But in many ways, the path forward for this next generation is far less clear. I mean, what exactly do you do about children who are languishing in crumbling schools, graduating from high school unprepared for college or a job? And what about the 40% of black children who are overweight or obese, or the nearly 1 in 2 who are on track to develop diabetes in their lifetimes? What about all those kids growing up in neighborhoods where they don't feel safe? Kids who never have opportunities worthy of their promise. What court case do we bring on their behalf? What laws do we pass for them? You see, today, the connection between our laws and our lives isn't always as clear as it was 50 years or 150 years ago. And as a result, it's sometimes easy to assume that the battles in our courts and legislatures have all been won. It's tempting to turn our focus to what's going on in our own lives and with our own families, and just leave it at that. And make no mistake about it, change absolutely starts at home. Change absolutely starts with each of us as individuals, taking responsibility for ourselves and our families, because we know that our kids won't grow up healthy until our families start eating right and exercising more. That's on us. We know that we won't close that education gap until we turn off the TV and supervise homework, attend those parent-teacher conferences, and serve as good role models for our own children, that's on us. But while we certainly need to start at home, we all know that we cannot stop there, because the fact is that our laws still matter. You know, much like they did 50 years ago or 150 years ago, our laws still shape so many aspects of our lives, whether folks are paying their fair of taxes or not, whether we invest in roads and schools and the jobs that come with them or not, whether our sons and our daughters who wear our country's uniform get the support and benefits they've earned or not. You see, those decisions are made by the folks sitting in Congress and in our White House. They're made by the folks in our state legislatures and city halls. And we all know who's supposed to select those folks, don't we? We know who's supposed to tell those folks what to do, right? We are. That's our job. That is our most fundamental right and our most solemn obligation, to cast our ballots and have our say in the laws that shape our lives. How many of us have asked someone whether they're going to vote and they tell us, nah, I voted last time? Or is there really an election going on? Or no, it's not like my vote's going to make a difference. How many times have we heard that? After so many folks sacrificed so much so that we could make our voices heard, so many of us just can't be bothered. But let's be very clear. While we're tuning out and staying home on election day, other folks are tuning in. Other folks are taking politics very seriously, and they're engaged on every level. They're raising money. They're making their voices heard and their issues known from City Hall to Washington, D.C. And I know that in the face of all of that money and influence, it can start to feel like ordinary citizens just can't get a seat at the table. And that can make you feel helpless and hopeless. It can make you feel or think that you're powerless. But I'm here today because that's simply not true. We are not helpless or hopeless. Time and again, history has shown us that there is nothing more powerful than ordinary citizens coming together for a just cause. And that is particularly true of folks in the AME church. And I'm not just talking about the big speeches and protests that we all remember. I'm talking about everything that happens between the marches. You know, when the speeches are over and the cameras were off, I'm talking about the thousands of hours that folks like Roy Wilkins and Daisy Bates spent strategizing in cramped offices late at night. I'm talking about the folks in Montgomery who organized carpools and gave thousands of rides to perfect strangers. I'm talking about the volunteers who set up drinking fountains and first aid stations on the Washington Mall and made 80,000 bags of lunches to folks who marched on that August day. I'm talking about the tireless, the thankless, relentless work of making change. You know, the phone calling, letter writing, door knocking, meeting planning kind of work. That is the real work of democracy.